Retro-style games are becoming more popular than ever. You don't have to look far to find fantastic examples of games that capture the tone, visuals, and game feel of titles released in the early 2000s. Take a look at Ultra Kill, for instance, a game developed by Arsi Patala, who's also worked on other extremely well-received retro titles like Dusk and Amid Evil. Some of the most popular games released in the past 10 years from indie studios have been retro-styled. Shovel Knight, Undertale, and Cave Story all pull inspiration from titles of a bygone era. Getting immersed into games like these can really make you feel like you've been taken back in time to days long gone. So, let's go there. Let's go all the way back to the year 2000. You just got your PlayStation 1 for your birthday. Your mom, not knowing anything about how video game consoles work, panics when she realizes that to use the console, you need a game to play. She frantically searches the local EB Games and finds a cheap title. It's only $10 while all the other games are significantly more expensive. She buys it since it has a cool spaceship on the front, and again, it was only $10. When she gives it to you, you're too excited to even check what the game is or how much it was. So you throw your disc into your PlayStation and you boot it up. You hear that iconic PlayStation 1 intro, and what follows is this. This is Sandvane, known as Starfighter Sandvane in North America. Released as the first budget shooter title for the PS1, the game was met with a fair amount of disappointment. It was short, repetitive, and not extremely diverse in terms of gameplay. But most people said that it was at least worth the $10 they paid for it. Unfortunately, information is scarce on this game. It was developed by Success, but looking on their website, I can't find a single thing about it. So far, the only things I've been able to dig up about the game are descriptions of gameplay and consumer reviews. At first glance, the gameplay looks like a jumbled mess. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's a bit hard to process it all without knowing the mechanics of the game from the get-go. When starting the game, you choose a ship body type and a special weapon. There are 3 of each. The body type you choose dictates your primary weapon and your speed and turning. You can choose the straight-firing laser with amazing speed and acceleration, but pretty poor turning. A spread shot style weapon that can turn on a dime, but travels very slowly. Or you can get the best of both worlds, a ship that's both fast and turns quickly. Except the weapon is a slow-firing, high-damage grenade launcher that's quite difficult to use. You start on a predetermined location on the grid and clear out all the enemies in the encounter. Then you're thrust out, and immediately you're met with a choice. You can move to any space you haven't cleared yet from the space you just cleared. The goal is to reach these boss spaces and finish each one so that you can move on to the next level. But there's more than just clearing and carving out a path to the boss spaces. Every clear space that touches an uncleared space boosts your weapon damage in that encounter all the way up to a maximum of 6. which basically allows you to melt every single boss or enemy in the entire game in fractions of a second. So, why not always clear out every single space around the bosses so that they're, easy? Well, you may have noticed the timer in the bottom right corner of the screen. You get 600 seconds at the start. I say seconds, but it actually counts down significantly faster than seconds. Anyway, this timer is almost always counting down. Even in the grid screen, it begins to count down after 3 actual seconds. You need to think quickly and act quickly to avoid losing too much time. With the speed that you clear out most rooms, it seems like you'd have more than enough time to clear every level and beat every boss without too much of a problem. But you also may have noticed this game doesn't have a health bar for the player, which might make you assume that it's on a life-based system, and that every time you get hit, you die and lose a life. But this also isn't the case. Every hit you take is a time loss. Rather than using a health-based system, Sanvain puts you on a clock that's always ticking and punishes you for being hit by deducting 90 seconds. The only way to get any time back is to clear a boss stage, which nets you a cool 140 seconds. This simple gameplay mechanic changes the entire way you play the game. The clock constantly running forces you to quickly make a choice. Clear out as many spaces as possible to make the boss fight easier, or clear out the bare minimum of spaces just to get to the boss fights and to deal with your weapons doing very poor damage, taking up your valuable time and possibly even taking hits.
Okay, let's pause for a second. I know that's a lot of information, and you probably didn't catch all of it. And I'm sure your real question is, why does any of this matter? It's a game that barely anyone played and barely anyone remembers. Well, it matters to me, because I think this game is the perfect game for the modern audience. I think when Starfighter Sanvain released, a lot of audiences had a problem with the length of the game. Side note, f*** you Mark, you're wrong. I think the real takeaway from this, though, is although Starfighter Sanvain is a short game, its core concepts are extremely unique and very exciting even in today's game market. I think if this game released today with maybe a bit more length and a bit more content, it would go viral. Think about all the games that you've played that ride almost solely on their fantastic concept. Deep Rock Galactic, Risk of Rain 2, hell, even Fortnite. All of these games have unique mechanics that make even doing technically the same thing over and over and over again actually exciting. It doesn't exactly take a genius to see where Sanvain fits into this equation. Imagine this game as a modern roguelike, with randomized levels, weapons, enemies, and maybe even a co-op feature. It would be a blast. The visuals, the soundtrack, everything, it's just so great. Modernized, this could be really something. And it's a shame that more people don't know about this. So, to close this out, try this game. If you somehow still have a physical copy like me, then I salute you. Otherwise, I would recommend EPSXE. It's an emulator for PS1. That's how I recorded all of my gameplay. And to anyone who's made it this far in the video, I want to sincerely thank you. Projects like these aren't exactly my forte, but it's something I started dabbling in, at least a little. And maybe, if I enjoy how this video has turned out, I'll make some more in the future. Who knows? Thank you for watching.